Hello everyone, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video I'm going to be giving you just a short replacement for the Super League predictions. Given that there's no Super League on this weekend, but we do have the Challenge Cup quarterfinals, I thought I'd give you some of those instead. I've not done them yet this season unfortunately, but I thought just as a short replacement it's probably worth a go. So without further ado, let's get started on the quarterfinal predictions for this weekend. Starting with Kingston Rovers at home against Salford Red Devils. Kingston Rovers have won 1 in the last 5 in Super League, and Salford have won 4 in the last 5 in Super League. Now, Hull KR at the moment are kind of going through a little bit of an injury crisis. A couple of important backs out and a few important forwards out. Jordan Abdul especially. I think he returned last week against Catalans and then was injured during the game, if it was reported correctly, or if I read the report correctly. Salford, however, they started the season pretty well. They had a slight dip with home form, just wasn't very consistent. But they've won 4 in the last 5. They've looked really strong. In those last 5, that includes a win against Kingston Rovers, which was 26-16. Personally, wasn't expecting Salford to win that game. I thought Hull KR would have been fine. But I do think, given the injury issues with Kingston Rovers and the form and the fact that Salford should be fine in terms of squad availability, I think this could be a pretty comfortable win. I think at full strength, this is a hell of a game. Like, this is a full-on game between two really strong Super League teams if they're both at full strength. Unfortunately, it's heavily favoured for Salford. I think Hull KR can put points on the board, but it's going to be difficult to stop the onslaught that Ryan Briley, Brodie Croft, Mark Sneed and Andy Ackers can all bring from Salford. So I'm going to go with a pretty comfortable win with Hull KR 12, Salford Red Devils 30. Next up we have Hull FC at home against St Helens. Hull FC's current form is 3 wins in the last 5, St Helens is 4 wins in the last 5. Hull FC have been on a pretty good streak recently. They started out the season abysmally. They were just awful. Jake Clifford was kind of having to carry a little bit. Jake Truman was out for a long time, so they didn't really have the full spine that they wanted, but there were some bright sparks, like Tex Hoy had his moments. Brad Dwyer was a real sort of boost of energy to the squad, I felt, and is a good sort of backup or even starter in comparison to Danny Houghton, who's a bit of a workhorse. But last couple of weeks, Hull have looked really good. They put some good numbers on the board. They've been competitive against Wigan, who are on a bit of a dip in form, but competitive against them. They shut out Castleford in the last round of the Challenge Cup. They won against Warrington last week, but the week before. Their biggest problem is, I think, field position and errors. I think against a clinical team like St Helens, they give a lot of field position away, and St Helens will probably snatch that up and get plenty of points on the board. I do think, given the confidence and the kind of the links that Hull's had in the spine and with their centres in the last few weeks, I think they'll find ways to score against St Helens. I feel like they'll probably not rest a lot of players, but they'll go a little bit lighter than normal. Only like 1 or 2, maybe 3 players that aren't regulars, just to start the game. So that'll give Hull the chance to score. But Saints will just control the game with their kicking. They'll always get good field position and possession, and they'll just be clinical. Players like Tommy Makinson probably get a hat-trick, to be honest. But I'm going to go with Hull FC 18, St Helens 34. Next up we have Wigan Warriors at home against Warrington Wolves. In terms of form, Wigan has won 1 in the last 5, Warrington have won 3 in the last 5. I don't think that paints a full picture of how strong Wigan really are. They have been vulnerable in Super League. They've lost to teams that they probably shouldn't have done. But again, every game so far this season, they've looked dangerous at one point or another. Like what you'd expect from them, they pull out in a game at least once, which is a moment of brilliance, whether it's from Jay Field, who missed plenty of games this season, or Bevan French especially. Harry Smith with his kicking game. Cade Cust hasn't been in the action for a while, unfortunately, but Liam Marshall, also a danger on the left-hand side. Warrington's defence against Huddersfield last week in Super League was awful. It put 30 on the board but conceded 26, and just let a sort of mid-table, slightly struggling Huddersfield team through way too many times in the second half to get easy 40-50 metre sets up the pitch just from 1 or 2 tackles. It was just easy for them. So I think against fast teams, Warrington struggled defensively. Plus, we don't have a kicking game. George Williams can't do it. Josh Drinkwater can't do it. Neither can Peter Matautia. Riley Dean can't do it. Mainly because he's at Castleford now, but he's not going to be available. Leon Hayes is injured at the minute, and whether he's got that kind of kicking game, I don't know. It relies on Danny Walker at this point. He's the best kicker at Warrington, which is not the kind of situation you want to be in. Your hooker should never be your best kicker. So I think Wigan, with Jay Field back and having a game under his belt against St Helens last week, will make him a lot sharper this week. I think Wigan's just going to be too quick. And it pains me to say as a Warrington fan, but against fast teams, we just can't defend against fast teams. Simple as that. And given that Wigan have a kicking game with Harry Smith, they have dangerous individuals in Bevan French, Liam Marshall and Jay Field. I feel like we'll be in the game. We'll find ways to score. We'll be in the game maybe at half time. But I just think Wigan will be too strong overall. So I'm going to go with Wigan 24, Warrington 20. Finally, we have York City Knights at home against the Leigh Leopards. Now, in terms of championship form, York City Knights have only won 2 in the last 5. And Super League form, Leigh has won 5 in the last 5. So Leigh is taking on a championship team. So York City Knights are completely outmatched, unfortunately. I think most of us know where this is going to go. I think the main challenge or the main target for York is just getting a try. And I think they'll struggle to do that because this Leigh Leopards team at the moment is on fire. They are insanely good. In attack, they score points for fun, and defensively they've just gotten stronger and stronger as they've learnt to adapt to the pace of Super League, which they sort of got 2 months ago at this point. Like, they're firmly a Super League team and one of the best in the competition. York City Knights are 12th in the championship. I think it was 11th or 12th, something like that. They're not even one of the best championship teams, so this is a complete mismatch. So yeah, the target for York is to just score a try. So I'm going to go with York City Knights 0, Leigh Leopards 50. So that's going to be it for this video. If you have any predictions for the Challenge Cup quarterfinals, let me know in the comments down below. We will be back to our usual schedule with Super League tips and predictions next week when we get back to Super League action. But that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.